Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first episode of FumeChat. I have my very good friend Max here.
Great to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you making the trip.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
And today we're going to be talking about how much time should the average person invest in learning about fragrances or cologne. So the average consumer, right? The average Joe, the one who's not fanatic like we are.
Sure.
How much time should they invest in learning about fragrances and colognes? So where I originally got this idea is I was recently watching a video by a pretty well-known YouTuber. It's not a fragrance reviewer. But in this video, he said, it doesn't really matter to me what notes are in the fragrance. And he was actually watching I don't know if it was one of our videos, but it was a video within the community.
Right.
And he said, I was watching these reviewers and they're talking about the notes and they're dissecting it. And he goes, I don't really care what's in it. I just want to know, does it smell good?
Right.
And I remember thinking to myself, what if we had that approach with other things in life?
That's true.
So for example, if somebody goes to the dealership and they're about to spend bank on like a 2017 Mercedes-Benz, and they say, you know what, and the dealer says to you, well, how about we go inside, we look at the interior, I'll tell you the specs, and well, I don't really care what's inside, I just care, does it look good, right? So not to say that there are certain things in life that we could get away with having that mentality, but what is your take? How much time do you think the average person should invest?
That's a great question. And the thing is, like a Mercedes, for example, like you said, a Mercedes is already something of a status item. So because it's already a Mercedes or a Chanel, for example, with fragrances, you automatically assume you're going to smell good or it's going to be a good product because of the reputation it has.
Right.
But I think I watched that reviewer that you're talking about. He's not a fragrance reviewer, but he was talking about fragrances in that particular episode, and he said that, as long as I smell good, I don't care what notes are in it, or, I don't think people should really worry about, ingredients as long as it smells good and it's going to get them complimented.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a double-edged sword, but I think it's kind of important to know what goes into these fragrances, You have people that talk about allergens, do we really worry about allergens like, IFRA? Or is it more, if you're allergic to fragrance, you shouldn't be wearing fragrance in the first place, because then it's destroying it for the rest of us who loves oak moss, for example.
Right.
So it becomes, maybe it's a conversation for another episode, but it's a great question, and you guys could, join in and let us know what you think. Is it worth spending so much time learning about these fragrances, or as long as it smells good, it's good enough for you,
That's really the beauty of being able to go live, is that we have interaction from the great subscribers out there like Mamoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love the fact that you brought that up, because there's always a discrepancy. Correct. It's like you go into the mall and you see a fragrance for $80, $90, and then you go to TJ Maxx, you see that same fragrance, but this time it's selling for $15, $20, and you're like, well, why is it so cheap here? Like, what's to blame for the discrepancy?
Or the gray market.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
Like niche, $400 Creed that you can find discounted.
Yeah.
Why?
But I think a lot of people, they don't know that there is so much time that goes into procuring certain ingredients. Or you talked about oak moss. Right. So now if you're looking for a vintage online, it was atronol and chloroatronol, and up to 2% of the European population could potentially be allergic. Wow. So because 2% of people are allergic to it, everybody. So it's not like a pack of cigarettes where you can affix a warning label to the front. Now it's like, well, I'm sorry, or nuts.
Right.
Yeah. But we still see people going out there and, buying their peanut butter by the jar. So
right.
We always like to entertain these sort of topics, and sometimes it is going to be controversial,
Of course.
But it's all perfume related. So make sure to drop your questions. Towards the end of this segment, we will be addressing some of those questions.
Do you think that the IFRA thing, because of allergens, was also a way for a lot of these companies to capitalize on making more money for not having to use those expensive, natural ingredients and then substitute them for less expensive synthetics? Could that be like a little bit of both?
What a great question. I don't know if that's what IFRA had in their minds when they implemented the changes, but I think the companies are benefiting from it, just like you mentioned.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are going to be people inevitably who say, oh, wow, I don't have to use, say Creed, I'm not, I'm totally making this up, but say Creed says, okay, so I don't have to use real oak moss and Aventus now. and I can continue to sell it for the same price, if not more, and then I'll still make a good penny off of it.
Do you think they use real oak moss in the Ventus?
I don't know. I want to say
you can't. Because
probably not.
I think since 2010, I want to say, you couldn't use real oak moss anymore.
I heard from somebody who heard from a reputable source that the formula for Aventus wasn't changed.
At all.
At all.
From 2010 up until now.
Right.
Wow.
But, there is oak moss listed, and it is one of these companies that touts to use natural ingredients.
The best ingredients.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Another thing that I can't help but think about is you have these companies like Ensar Oud. And I was in, communication with one of the gentlemen over there, and he goes, the reason why it's so expensive is because for certain compositions we have an oud oil that it's very difficult to harvest, and
different types of ouds that are more expensive and more rare than others.
Yeah,
I've heard about that.
Like Cambodian oud, for example, incredibly expensive
versus Indian oud.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And it's like the sandalwood, right? The Mysorean sandalwood is
rich
ultra
wood
expensive.
From Xerjoff. That's supposed to be like the best sandalwood that you could find. Right.
So, you have an ingredient that's hard to get, and now it's been endangered due to overcultivation.
Right.
But then the process by which they procure the ingredient that will go into the perfume, say, like I remember him telling me that one ingredient was macerated for like 4 years.
Correct.
So it's like, okay, so now it makes sense that this would be more expensive.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's just difficult whenever I bring people over and I have them try my collection and I'll show them different fragrances and they'll say, well, how much is this one? And I'll tell them it's $400, $500, that for a lot of people, they don't understand why. Why is that justified? To ever spend
that kind of money, right.
Yeah, why is it justified? So if you were to make a recommendation, say to the average Joe, how much money do you think is feasible for them to spend on a fragrance? Or do you think that's going to be contingent upon how much they like it? Like, do you think...
Well, it's funny you asked that because I met with a guy, I told you before I met you today, I met with a subscriber and we're doing a swap. And he said that he would never drop anything over $150 on a fragrance, no matter how good it was, So, and he has, I think, about 30 bottles right now in his collection.
Okay.
So when I told him I have, what I have, he's like, you're crazy, 'cause, I mean, it's insane, for us. I mean, but it's a sickness, right?
Yeah.
Because we always thinking that we need to have that another bottle that we don't have, or we got to smell that, or... Because we pretty much smell everything that there is to smell up to this point, I think, right?
I think so.
Right?
I think so.
So, I don't know.
So do you think there's a threshold that people shouldn't cross?
No, because to each person its own, I mean, for me, I won't pay retail,
right?
But, we see Creeds going up every year, niche.
Tom Ford.
I mean, $250, I think, for a 50 ml Tom Ford.
Yeah, why not?
I wouldn't pay.
Why not?
Retail.
Yeah.
I try to get them discounted.
They're great fragrances. We still want them.
Correct. But even discounted, it's a lot of money, right? Yeah. Because it's still over $100. 150, 125. It's still a lot of money. I think the average person has a hard time spending over $100, to be honest with you. That's why when you go to like a Macy's or Bloomingdale's, I think the average new release is around that $90, $80 to $90 mark.
Right.
Because I think the $100 is probably the threshold, I think.
They know about it. They know what they're doing. I want to use my brother as an example because my brother, he is not into fragrances. He had, in his whole life, he must have had 3 bottles of cologne. He's had Guerlain which was many years ago. And then he had Armani Code, which he wore for a little bit. And then recently, he bought Aventus.
Okay.
But what ended up happening was he had to go to like a company party that was hosted by his fiance's job. So he goes, I rarely do this, but he came up to me and he said, can I borrow one of your fragrances? And I said, you know what, why don't you try this? And it was the Z01 batch.
Ooh, and blew his mind.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't too enthralled by it. Like he could have cared less about it. Exactly. But he ended up wearing it and he said he got like 4 compliments that day. And it was like the boss of the company, the person hosting the event came up to him, complimented him. And then the boss was like, oh, so-and-so, you got to come over here. You got to smell this. And the very next day, my brother goes, yo, what's the name of that cologne you gave me? And I told him, and he goes, how do I get a bottle? And then I told him the price and everything. So here's where we're talking about price, because the average person, I think, once you tell them, this is going to cost you $4.25, they're going to say, forget about it.
You'll turn them away right away.
Right away.
But if the experience, like he experienced it, you open new doors for this person. Because here's a person who didn't care, but the attention they got made him, wow, this is really something else.
Yeah.
So, it's got to be that good. And I think that's why Aventus get talked about so much. I don't think it's the best fragrance in the world, but it does the job. It does the job. You wear Aventus, you're getting compliments.
Absolutely. 100%.
I don't think I've never had a situation that I wore Aventus that I didn't get noticed. I always do with Aventus. Always.
Yeah. And actually, he ended up buying his Aventus from you.
Oh.
I was like, I have a connection, and then I reached out to you, and I think...
Cool. I remember that. I think I remember.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You actually sold me like 2 Aventuses.
2 bottles, yeah.
Maybe like 4 Creeds total.
That's cool.
But that's the thing with guys like us. It's like we know that it has a certain value to it.
Of course.
And I'm sure you've tried a lot of the clones too.
Of course.
Right? So
Insurrection 2, The Adventure...
Al Haramain, Club de Nuit.
Right. They're good in a way if you don't know Aventus. But if you know Aventus, you can detect the difference.
So you agree there is a difference?
Oh, there's no question. Yeah. There's no question. I tried all of those, and as far as performance, the blending, you could tell it's just not refined. Yeah. Aventus, something about it. Even with the different batches, if you have a good nose, you'll be able to say, okay, this is not Aventus.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I have the same exact mentality that you do. I always mention in my videos, I think there's always going to be a good substitute, but never a replacement.
Nope.
But so now that this sort of brings up the factor of reverse engineering, and the same way that you can take, say, the Mona Lisa or Van Gogh's Starry Night, and you can photocopy it, and now you can go buy a reproduction of it in the home furnishing section of your local Walmart. Oh. Now, something very similar to that can be done with fragrances.
There's a machine now, right?
Yeah, a couple different ones. We have gas chromatography, mass spectrometry. So you can put in the formula, you get a reproduction of it, and depending on the ingredients that you have at your disposal, you might be able to recreate it 100%. You might not be able to.
So you think this is what these companies are doing when they're trying to recreate Aventus?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think so.
So why do you think they're not being able to do it 100%? They're just cutting corners to make a substitute, but not as expensive.
I think so. Maybe they're cutting corners. Maybe the machine itself, because there's so many online. I saw some selling for over $1 million. I saw some selling for over 1,000. So I think depending on
the actual quality of the machine. Okay.
But you know what? I always had that idealized image in my mind that there's, for every single perfume, there's a perfumer who has been formally trained, and they're sitting behind a perfumer's organ trying to perfect the perfect Aventus clone. And it's like, well, we know that doesn't really exist for a lot of them. We do have the ones who are doing it, Jean-Paul Guerlain, and then we have Laurent Le Garnac, and then we have Alberto Moria. So there are some out there who are doing it, the traditional way.
Sure.
But it's interesting. So if somebody can find a reproduction, like for example, would you recommend Club de Nuit over Aventus if somebody said, I'm trying to get something super cheap, but I don't want to spend $450?
Sure, it's a good alternative. It'll smell great. It'll be as close as you possibly can get to Aventus. It's fruity. It's nice. It's inviting.
Yeah.
A lot of people they go to decants because they don't want to get something that's not Aventus. They rather get a small decant of the real thing.
Yeah.
But I would recommend probably Club de Nuit Intense.
Yeah, I think I would too. I have
$20, right?
Yeah. How crazy is that?
For 100 mil, 120, 120.
I think it's 3.4.
Yeah, right.
But I've recommended it in my videos before, and I can tell you, that was my biggest concern, is that, you know what, maybe I'm not going to get the same amount of compliments. Maybe it's not going to perform as well, and some of them don't.
Correct.
Some of them don't. But
some of them are very lackluster, right?
Absolutely. But this one did pretty well on me. Another story I want to share, it's I was wearing More Than Words.
Okay.
And I get a lot of compliments from More Than Words. My wife can tell you, we were at an Italian restaurant, and there was like an older, he must have been like in his 50s or something, but a Hispanic gentleman, and he had a very thick brogue to it. And he goes, what is that perfume you're wearing? I need to get it for Christmas. And then his wife pulled out a piece of paper from her bag, and I had to write it down and everything. But I remember I was walking to my car one morning, and I put on More Than Words. And there's, where I used to live, there was a mechanic right around the corner. And the mechanic comes out as I walk down the block, and he stops me and he goes, "Yo, what is that cologne you're wearing?" And I told him, and he goes, "Can you write it down for me?" And then as we were walking, I told him the price, which is like $230 or something. He goes, "You know what, man? Never mind." So there are people out there who would not cough up that much money for it.
Correct. Because they have other priorities, you know. Spending $200 on a fragrance, it's a little bit insane. It really is if you think about it. In the great scheme of things, you know, to spend $200 in a fragrance when you can buy other things or save your money, right? Yeah. With the economy and everything. But it's a hobby, you know, it's a passion. And, you know, if it's worth it to you, then it's not too much, because it's only money at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
It's going to find a way to go someplace anyway, right?
Right. And it is a luxury product.
It really is.
I mean, you don't need it to survive. You really don't.
It's not a necessity.
And fragrance is one of those things where, you know, unlike other goods where the price is equivalent to the demand, right? So, for example, we have a discontinued fragrance, say Azzaro Pour-Homme, which has been reformulated countless times. So there are people in hunt and in search
of that vintage
of that
formulation,
beautiful vintage formulation. It smells so natural, and
which will fetch a pretty penny because you can't. It's not readily available.
Yeah.
At the moment a fragrance comes to the discontinued, you know, status, a switch goes off to these people that sell them. Yeah. I know there's going to be people looking for them. They can't find it anywhere, so I'm going to double the price. Yeah. It's business. It's supply and demand. It's that simple, you know? Yeah. Same thing with Creed. We're talking about Aventus here. The moment, you know, you can't find the 120 ml bottles and all you can find is 50 and 100 ml bottles, whoever has those bigger bottles, they're going to try to, you know, capitalize on it. It's business. It's sad, but it's true. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And then in perfumery, well, in economics in general, there's something called a Veblen good, which is a product that is expensive just for what it is. So, for example, let's take a look at Louis Vuitton, right? You can say they have high-quality materials and the way that the bags are stitched together is very precise, and I do believe that. You know, I think there's a certain level of craftsmanship that goes into it. No question. But with perfumes, I think a lot of that is the story. Right? You can say, you know, well, this company has been around since the 1700s, and we produce things in small batches, and we have our own vetiver fields or whatever the case might be. Kings and royalty. Yeah. So that alone will make it more appealing and you know, fetch a bigger price tag, you know? So I think the average person, like and I love Creed. I really do. I love Creed as much as the next person. I do too. But I think the average person won't know the story that goes into it. Correct. Right? They don't know the history. They don't know that it's produced in limited batches. And they won't even take the time because of the price tag. It'll scare them away. Yeah. Right? You tell them, this retails for $4.95. Oh, yeah. I don't want to talk about this. You know, I'm not going to buy this ever. So the question becomes, if the person doesn't care about all that stuff that goes into it, do they have a right to complain that it's too expensive? You see what I mean? Sure, they can complain about it and say, you know, this is ridiculous, but at the end of the day, you know, the person who's selling it is going to tell, hey, listen, there's a story behind this company. We use primal ingredients, you know, Haitian vetiver, you know, it's very expensive. Oud, you know, it's $1,000 per ounce, whatever. You know, they're going to tell you the whole story, the background of the company. Yeah. And that's why it fetches that price, because, you know, it's quality. Yeah. You know? It really goes back to the heart of this conversation, which is, you know, because you'll have a lot of people say, you know, it doesn't really interest me in knowing how it changes and how transitions, right? Yeah, like I don't care what amber smells like. I don't care what plum smells like. Does it smell good, right? And I have that idea sometimes too. Like I don't really always buy into the note breakdown. You know, it might say that there's plum in there and it's my favorite note, and then I'll smell it in person and it's like, wow, I really don't like this scent. But that will give you that first interest. Yeah. Because if you're a big fan of plum, which I am too, if it has plum, oh, I got to smell that. Maybe it's going to be really good. Yeah. But you're right. Sometimes you smell, it's not really that great of a plum fragrance. But yeah, we do, because we're crazy like that. If it has some of those ingredients that we love, we're going to gravitate towards it. Yeah. But the average person won't. It's like, does it smell great? Like Dior Sauvage. Absolutely. Very polarizing. But even the guy I met today said that it's one of the best new releases in the past few years he's worn. He got compliments non-stop whenever he wears it. Sure. Do we love it? I don't love it. It smells okay. But whenever I put on, it's another one that I get
feel good.
Positive. It makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Sure.
Can I say it's my favorite like you? Probably not. Probably not.
It would never make my top 10 of all time.
No.
But it's one that's easy to wear. I know I'm going to get positive notices. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. You know, I was at Macy's not too long ago, and I saw a gentleman there, and he really wanted to get, I think it was Mr. Burberry. All right. So he had tried it before. Maybe he had a sample at home or something, and he really he was dead set. He needed to get Mr. Burberry. And then the lady goes, well, you know, we have other fragrances, but they didn't have it in stock. So she goes, you know, we have some other Burberry fragrances. Like if you want, you can try Touch. We have Touch. Try Brit. And I go up to him and I said, you know, why don't you try Carvan Poron? And that one also composed by Francis Kurkdjian. But that's the thing. Like I had done my research because we know
perfumers.
Exactly.
The average person doesn't.
Correct.
So
and I had tried both of them, and I know they smell so similar to one another. There's just something in there.
Carvan Porom is the one that smells like Envy, right? Gucci Envy?
Oh no, not Carvan Porom. Carvan Low or something.
Oh, okay.
It was like a white bottle with a really weird shape. It's flat.
I've seen it.
But that one is good too.
It is good.
That one smells like Gucci Envy with the green juice.
Really good.
And then the lady who worked at Macy's goes, oh no, they're not going to smell similar. This will, because it's by the same company, meaning it's Burberry. So it's like, okay, so here I am getting penalized because I know more.
Because you're knowledgeable, yeah.
And so
sure, we know essays so that's another conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
Right, because you've had some experience. I've had some horror stories.
Yeah. So now I guess it's like, so this is what we're trying to do, right? When we make these videos. I mean, how easy would it be to just press the record button, say, guys, I want to talk to you about this new fragrance. It smells great. Go out there and get it. And then we press the record button. Like, I'm sure it could be genuine,
of course,
right? But does it provide as much of a value as sitting in front of the camera, say, for 10 minutes, breaking it down, telling you who the perfumer is, how long it's going to last, what the notes are that it's comprised of?
Best occasions, best weather, best settings, right?
Yeah. So I think it's a really interesting topic for debate, and I'm really glad that
we want to hear from you guys. You know, what do you guys think?
And we really do, and I know we've had a lot of comments coming in, and I have to say hello to Nancy and hello to Jacob and hello to Joe. If you have your comments, I want you to go ahead and drop them down below right now. We will certainly take a few moments to answer some of those questions, and a lot of those can lead to some organic debate.
Absolutely.
So I know we're hearing a lot of questions like, take a look at Siraj's question. Cedrat Boisé or Aventus, that's exactly what we were talking about.
Absolutely.
And Cedrat Boisé, you're going to get 100 ml, but it's like 180?
120.
120, get
120
out of
as
here.
well. Just like Aventus, 120 for 160.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's 120.
I didn't know. So it's the same exact size.
Parfum.
And
I find Cedrat Boisé a little sweeter than Aventus.
Okay. Yeah.
It's fruity, it's sweet, it's very nice. I love it.
And that's another one too, Glen Perry Unpredictable Adventure.
The black bottle.
Yeah.
Right? Cylindrical.
Yep. It doesn't stand up straight. It kind of like leans on its back
at an angle. Then you have the one with the bow tie, a Centerpiece for him.
Centerpiece.
From Bond Number 9.
Yeah.
Kind of like Cedrat Boisé in the same kind of, direction, but also reminiscent of Aventus.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many clones nowadays. It's insane. Didn't the Gate had one too?
Snowflakes,
right?
Yeah. I'll have you smell it if you're interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's really good.
Everyone wants to get, I think someone talked about this. Everyone's trying to crack the code of Aventus or have something that smells like Aventus, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it's, for the past 5 years, what was the first clone or the first trial?
Fresco by Ilumdine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Cheap, right?
Super cheap. Cotrab put it on the map.
Yes.
And it was awesome. And I got my bottle and...
Creed's for the Poor Man or something, right? A video he did years ago. Yeah, Fresco, correct.
And now when I go back to it, I'm
Fresco?
like, it does have like an Aventus thing in there, but it's so much more lemony.
Faint and lots of citrus. Yes.
Transparent and lemony.
I got like an hour, I think, longevity out of that. I bought it once. I wore the whole bottle.
Same.
Like, no, that's not for me.
Same.
Too faint.
Yep. Same. I wouldn't, and I
think Insurrection Pure 2 was the second clone, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That one was decent. Not too bad.
Yeah.
3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, that one is okay. I never actually bought that one.
Okay.
Because I always had Aventus.
Of course.
And I just
if you
enjoyed...
have the real thing, you can't. Like you said, you can try it, but you can't replace it.
Exactly. It doesn't beat it. Like, take for example, and we know stuff like this. So Mamoun said, have you had a chance to try the new Jean Paul Gaultier Superman?
I haven't.
And I haven't either. But I remember looking it up online, and the note breakdown, according to Fragrantica, exactly the same as Popeye.
That's what I heard.
The perfumer is the same, Natalia Gracia
They're
Cetto.
just changing the bottle?
So
just the packaging?
That's my thing.
Because then it could be gimmicky, it could be money grabs, and then it's a little bit, I think, insulting to the customers. Because you're thinking you're buying something else, but you're buying the same thing.
Do you know how many people have done that, though?
I know.
There are people, I kid you not, Max, people have purchased limited edition Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances thinking
they had something special,
that it was something different, until they go home and they're like, hey, it smells exactly the same. But here's the thing. When I went to buy Popeye, I went with my wife when it first came out. I said, do you have a tester of this so I can try it? Because I knew from watching other videos that it was going to smell different. The gentleman who worked behind the counter, young kid, like straight out of high school probably, he goes, oh, it's the same as the other ones. And
he thought the other way around. It was just the packaging.
Yeah. So when they do release a novel fragrance, it could be Ultramall.
I know.
The SAs think, no, it smells just like...
They don't know.
How crazy
it's both,
is that?
It's a double-edged sword. They might think it's just a different packaging but the same scent, or it's a special scent but it's just the same scent in a different packaging.
Yeah.
Right? So it could be both.
Yeah.
Unless you try, you don't know.
So I am going to scroll a little bit. We have Ismail. Hello, Ismail.
How you doing, guys?
So favorite ladies fragrance, Nancy asks. And I suppose we'll take some questions that are not directly related. Sure. So Nancy asks, what are your favorite ladies fragrances? My guess is Aqua Fiorentina for Steven. And how about you, Max?
Well, that's a tough one. I met my wife with Burberry for women, the round bottle with the yellowish juice. I do like that.
Is it my Burberry?
I don't know if it's not London, is it? Burberry London for women, I think? Because that's the one with the scarf-looking thing.
Yeah,
No, no. It's just a round bottle with the golden juice. Burberry.
I'm sure Nancy knows.
It's very nice. I love that on her. Yeah.
I love Aqua Fiorentina. And that's because it reminds me of light blue.
Okay.
Right? But again, going back to the primary topic, is that light blue and Aqua Fiorentina, they're in the same family.
Correct.
It's like you have two citrus fruits and one of them is a bergamot and the other one is a lemon.
But those subtleties that you can pick out from the Fiorentina make or break it, right? So when you put both together, I got to go with this one because you can sense the quality, right?
And my wife, is not some sort of perfume aficionado, but
she knows.
She knows. She can pick out the difference.
Absolutely. Even my wife's getting better now. This is a gourmand, or this, like, she's really getting into it. This has, plum in it. It's just surprising.
Oh, wow.
It's like, how do you know?
So Khan asks, will this be available after it airs? Yes, we are actually currently recording it on multiple devices, so it's going to be on YouTube as well, and we are going to save the video here on Facebook. And Gila, thank you so much for tuning in. Leon writes, Dior Homme Parfum is pretty great. Sorry if this is irrelevant to the topic. Listen, this is all perfume related.
We're talking fragrance, yeah. Anything is welcome.
It's such an amazing hobby that really unites us all. So anything you guys have to contribute, please, whether it's a comment or a statement or a question, we're open to everything. And Siraj says you should try Aqua Fahrenheit. I
do have, and it made my top designer spring of this year. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Now, is that the one that smells like Fleur du Mal, the orange blossom one?
No,
or is that
has
32?
Grapefruit, vetiver. It's a fresher take on the original Fahrenheit with a fruitier nuance and some mint and basil.
Oh, okay.
I like it.
I always get it confused with Fahrenheit 32.
That's the one that's kind of like Fleur du Mal with vanilla.
I dig that one.
I like it too.
I dig that one. I'm not opposed to it.
I like it too.
Somebody else asked, what is your set of the day?
My set of the day today is vintage Azar Pour Homme. I love that stuff. I love that stuff.
That's a good one. Actually, but I'm sure it's nothing like it, but I bought the reformulated version from TJ Maxx. I was in Florida not too long ago, and I bought the reformulated version. And I like it.
It is nice. It's been reformulated, I think, 5 times now. If you can find, it doesn't have to be from the 80s or late 70s, as long as if you find something with a sticker on it, on the actual, front of the bottle, silver sticker, then that's a good reformulation from the 90s or early 2000s. Once they took away that sticker and just made a plain bottle, it was very weak and faint. But it smells great, though.
Yeah.
Any formulation is good.
And Joao actually says, one topic to discuss, those myths around the supposed discontinuation of fragrances. See what happened recently to Bleecker Street, or certain fragrance will be watered down. And
I just talked about that for a little bit.
We did, yeah. So I don't know. I think, and I've seen that too, where I think the market is partially driven by myths surrounding discontinuations. I know of people who stocked up on backup bottles thinking that it was going to be I mean, think about it. When they said
in Paris.
Midnight in Paris, that's one of them. Or when they said Pure Malt, right? Pure Malt, limited edition.
I remember 2009, 2010, it was discontinued, and then people were paying $200-300 a bottle.
Would you recommend that?
Of course, it's a gorgeous scent, but not for $300.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if they told me, you know what, we're going to discontinue it, unless I had such a personal, fond
attachment, memory. Right. Correct. Like me with the Sour Perome, I hoard it. I mean, I have a few bottles. I love it, vintage, because it reminds me of my father, my childhood. So, because like you said, with those attachments, those, that's why I like it so much. And I would pay a couple $100 for a big bottle. But other than that, not at all. Like a Scatamagnetism, as soon as it came discontinued a few years ago, and Hiro Yorozuka, we're talking about him because we love him so much. He hyped it up, and people were dropping $200 a bottle. I like Scatamagnetism, but not anything over $75-80.
Exactly. Somebody just agreed with you. They said they think it's an insult too, to have to pay $300 for something that retailed, or it could have been found online first. Look at all these companies. T for Two. Tom Ford has done it as well, with Amber Absolute and.
Fetches so much. That's the one effect. That's like the unicorn.
Yeah.
Moss Brash. If you find that, it's like $400 for the little guy.
Yeah.
Or Purple Patchouli. And now they're capitalizing with the Reserve limited edition. They just did Bois du Marocain.
Okay, sure.
Moroccan wood, something like that. So they're starting to release every year with the metal plate as a reserve for $300 and something, $325 I think it is for a 50 ml.
Creed too.
Where
they say, it's vaulted, can't find it anymore, and then Windsor comes back out.
Yeah.
Special, and I mean, for as long as they have the formula, yeah.
Which, by the way, is my favorite Creed of all time.
Is it really?
Vintage Tabarone.
Vintage Tabarone.
Have you tried?
I tried it at the Creed boutique, and it was off a tiny little container.
I've tried it there first, and I was able to get a flacon of 250, and I split with 3 guys.
Okay.
So I have 35 mils. I love it, Stephen. That's my favorite
amazing.
Creed.
I have to go back to it. I really.
But it's expensive. Talk about discontinued. A 75 ml bottle on eBay is going for like $1,400. It's crazy.
Wow.
I wouldn't pay that.
Yeah, neither would I.
We were able to get this flacon for $9.65, split 3 ways, which was still a lot of money.
Yeah.
My wife's not watching. But it was a fair deal.
Yeah.
For a flacon.
Yeah.
But not for a 75 ml bottle, $1,400.
Or what about something like Royal Service, which is like $2,000?
I've never smelled that one.
I've
always wanted to try it.
I've had a subscriber send me a tiny little sample.
Did you like it?
When I was like 1,000 subscribers deep.
Okay.
And I just remember thinking it's very floral.
That's what I heard. A little citrus, mostly floral, white
Actually,
florals.
I think I still have it here.
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
But not worth $3,500, right?
No, not at all. So actually we have Oswald in the house, fellow YouTube fragrance reviewer.
Oh, very nice.
We also have Mark from Robe08 in the house.
Oh,
so Mark,
nice.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it.
Canada's in the house.
How's it going, Colin? Good to hear from you. We also had a subscriber ask us, have we ever tried Dunhill Icon?
I have. Just the original, not the gold or the absolute or the other two. Just the regular one, which I really enjoy.
Okay.
I just wish it lasted a little longer, but scent is amazing. I think it has pepper in it.
Does it?
I like it a lot.
I've never tried it.
Oh wow. I like it a lot.
Cool. Are fragrance clones good for the industry or are they bad? That's a really good question. We might actually save that for a future video.
An episode. Yeah.
But that's a really good question. I guess the abridged answer to that would be yes and no.
Correct.
It's good for the consumer.
Pros and cons, yeah.
For the company. But as long as they cannot recreate the scent 100%, there's going to be like a 90 or 92, 95%. Then
it creates alternatives, and it gives people a chance to try otherwise really expensive fragrances that you would never be able to try. So it is good in a way, but it has its drawbacks.
Yeah. Hello, Patrick. Hello, Freddie. Hello, Norvald. Thank you so much. So Norvald says, you guys coming together is the best birthday present I could ask for.
Oh,
how amazing
so
is that?
Happy birthday, bro.
That is incredible. And you know what? Happy birthday. I hope you're having a fantastic day. This is the reason why we make videos like these,
Absolutely.
right? It really does warm my heart every time I get a comment say, I watched so-and-so video from you that you did 2 years ago and I went out, bought the fragrance. And
I know. It's these rewarding experiences and to make people happy and to share the passion and, that's what it's all about,
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Charlie says, is this our first gig together? Actually, it's not.
It's not.
I'm going to post the link down below, but we actually did a video, and we did a video for your channel too, remind me?
Yes, we did a series called Reviewers Summer Series or something. I'm going to post it on this link, on this video for you guys, so you guys can check it out.
Yeah.
And we also did a wedding scent with Cody.
Cody, yeah.
So yeah, we'll put those links down below so you guys can check them out.
And by the way, if you guys haven't subscribed to Max, I'm going to leave all of his information down below. So definitely go over, subscribe to Max. A lot of great fragrance reviews, top lists, sale and swap thread.
Absolutely.
Always super.
Every
and
month.
you have your own website. You
I
sell
do.
fragrances.
Yep,
right?
maxforte.com if you're not familiar with it. Niche designer. I try to be very competitive and fair with pricing. And if you get in touch with me, I'll try to give you even more discounts. It's just, like I said, sharing the passion, not making a lot of money, just, helping the community pretty much.
Yeah. Rafael, Tikanis Filamo, fellow Greek.
Oh, nice.
Says Tower Number 2, L'air du Desert Marking.
Phenomenal fragrance.
We were just talking about it. Hero.
Amazing.
And
yeah.
Jorge, thank you so much for tuning in. And Joran stopped by.
Oh, that's a big question.
That was a big question. I don't want to miss it. So I'm going to go ahead and try to navigate this in an efficient way. What are your favorites of the Atelier Cologne range? And what do you guys think of Pulp? Oh, by the way, it was my birthday yesterday and spent most of my day watching your fragrance reviews. Joran, thank you. I'm glad that everybody is tuning into us on their birthday.
So Ateliers, I love gold leather.
Oh my gosh.
Love that scent.
And Silver Iris. I know that was a duo, but...
Yeah, they're both amazing. You've done a video at the Atelier store, right?
I did, yeah.
A couple of times.
Yeah.
They have amazing fragrances. I just wish they lasted a little longer on my skin. But scent alone and the actual creations, they're amazing.
Yeah, they really are.
Orange
really
Sanguine. It's like you're pouring
good.
fresh OJ.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Try layering it with Vanille and Sensei.
Okay.
You will love it.
Cool.
It's like an orange creamsicle. Yeah.
Oolong Infini.
I wasn't crazy about it, but I liked it.
I liked it.
I do like it, yeah.
I liked Pour. I liked it a lot. It's like
that
an
one is good too.
old fougere type of fragrance.
Yeah. Rose Anonyme is good. That's an award winner.
That's
an award winner. I also have Sidra and Avron. That has the mojito vibes. And Sidra Atlas.
Very nice. It reminds me of a masculine version of Dolce & Gabbana light blue.
Exactly.
A little
That's
woodier,
exactly it.
stronger.
Yep.
Love it. Love it. Actually, we did that on our street video that we did in New York City. We talked about that fragrance.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did. How interesting.
That's
you have
so
a
cool.
really good memory, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Wow. August asks, do you know when Creed Viking is going to be released?
Supposedly, they were talking about for this fall. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking around fall time.
All right.
It's supposed to be like a modern take on the fougere, type scent. So I'm really curious for that one.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think it's going to be a home run?
I don't know. I don't like the name.
Yeah.
I don't like the name. I just gotta be honest. Aventus
The
is
bottle
cool.
looks cool.
It does.
The red.
Yeah.
But the name is a little bit weird.
Maybe they're waiting to implement the size change and then they'll release it.
Correct. Well, the size change should be implemented right now, and then within the next 45 days.
I got the email.
You should start seeing, 100 mil, 50 mil as these stores are replenishing their stocks. But
so Mark writes, I wanted to show support and say, go ahead and scroll. Hi, Max and Steve. Hello, Mark. Thank you so much for tuning in. Always in a comments are just rolling. We really appreciate this, guys. Always in constant changes when I follow noses and notes and look for certain scents made by a certain nose and or falling in love with a new. And then it got cut off, unfortunately. See more? It won't show me the rest of the comment because we are in
right.
landscape.
Limited space, right.
But we really do appreciate the support. We really do.
We really
it's
do.
Absolutely incredible. So I suppose we'll take one or two more questions and then we'll wrap it up. Somebody said, why doesn't Sauvage and Invictus get so much hate? Why do they get hate?
Why do they get hate? Well, I think because they're very successful, and for the most part, when things are talked about too much, it will also bring some negativity with it when things are very hyped. You know, I think it's just the norm, I think. Wouldn't you say? Like
I
human
think so
nature.
too. You know, there are these fragrances that people smell them and they know they have mass appeal. So the initial instinct is, you know what? I'm sort of, I don't want to call it a scent snob, but I'm not a scent snob by any means. But I think a lot of people would say, you know what? I think this is simple, it's boring, it's a money grab, I'm not going to buy it.
Why is there so much talk about this? It's nothing special, sort of thing.
Yeah,
right?
But then I think the people who do buy it end up benefiting from it significantly because it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. It got me so many compliments, and believe it or not, some of these last the whole day. You know,
no question.
Invictus Aqua.
I get a work stay out of them easy, 8 to 9 hours.
Yeah.
Easy.
So why not?
That's true.
Why not? So we'll take one more. It's midnight in Liverpool.
Oh, that's so
I should
cool.
be going to bed and rise early for tomorrow. And then I saw this video, and I will blame you both for my poor productivity at work tomorrow. So James, we'll end it off with this one. How do you get into perfumery as an occupation?
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
It is a loaded
As a
question.
matter of fact, I think that's probably aspiration that a lot of reviewers have to become, you know, a full-time, you know, in some capacity involved with fragrance and becoming, you know, getting paid for it. But what does it take to do it? It's a whole different ballgame, you know.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on what do you want to do in the industry.
Right.
You want to be a creative director? Do you want to be a brand ambassador? Do you want to be a perfumer?
Right.
You know, it might entail having to go to school for a few years.
Having to go to school, get some experience in the field, and
learn a little bit about chemistry.
Bit, you know, get acquainted, you know, with the right people. You know, also a little bit of everything. You know.
Yeah. Maybe write a book. Write a book. People will find you. You'll get discovered.
Sure.
Who knows? But Max, thank you so much for coming.
Hey, thanks
I
for
really
having
do
me.
appreciate it. Thank you for
A lot
everything.
of
It was
fun.
awesome.
Great fun.
I'm kind of hungry.
Me too. Grab a bite. Sure.
All right. Got my wife raising her hand, and I'm looking at her through the mirror right now. You guys should see the scene. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're actually going to publish this video right away. It's going to go both on Facebook and YouTube, so definitely make sure to look out for it. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Thank you for your questions. A lot of viewers, thank you. We really appreciate it. And I'm sorry to those of you whose questions we couldn't address, but definitely stay tuned for FumeChat Episode 2.
Absolutely.
So we're going to post all of that information in the very near future. So definitely make sure to become a member of the Facebook group. That's where we're going to be announcing our future episodes, when they're going to air, what time, and everything. So
Redolessence Fragrance Reviews and Emporium of Scents, and we'll let you guys know all about it.
And again, guys, please don't forget to subscribe to Max.
Thank you, guys.
With that said, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Keep on spraying.
Take care.